I was hired to teach a wealthy family's son English. From the moment we met, there was a spark. "You're different from anyone I've ever known," he whispered one night. But when his family discovered us, his father ordered, "You leave tonight, or you'll never work again." Heartbroken, I boarded my flight, until he suddenly burst through security, shouting, "I won't lose you." But what he did next shocked even me. I was 28. Working as an English teacher in Chicago. I'd just finished a brutal school year, and honestly, I was burned out. A friend mentioned this private agency that connects teachers with high-paying tutoring gigs for rich families. I wasn't interested at first, but then they told me the pay. Let's just say it was more than double what I made in a year. They said it would be a short-term summer job, 2 months in Manhattan, teaching a 19-year-old boy English and helping him prep for his college applications. It sounded simple enough. The family was rich. Like serious Upper East Side money. Think black SUVs, a townhouse that looks like it belongs in a movie, the whole deal. Their last tutor didn't work out. I should have asked more questions. When I arrived, the place was intimidating. Staff everywhere. Everything polished and perfect. The mother, Evelyn, was cold but polite. The father, Martin, was a wall, sharp eyes, few words. I wasn't even introduced to the son at first. They acted like I was some hired hand to be tolerated, not trusted. Then I met him. Nathaniel. He walked into the study where I was setting up my laptop. Tall, messy brown hair, eyes like he knew something you didn't. He looked like a mix between a brooding poet and a trust fund kid. He was polite, but not in the forced way his parents were. He was curious. Asked questions. Made jokes. Not what I expected. The first few sessions were professional. He was smart but scattered. Classic rich kid ADHD. We worked on essays, vocabulary, sentence structure. But we also talked. A lot. About books. Music. How he hated the Ivy League life path his dad was shoving him toward. How he wanted to write screenplays. Travel. Live. I tried to keep a wall up, I did. But something about him felt magnetic. It was small at first. A joke that made us laugh too long. A lingering glance. A shared silence that felt heavy. I started dressing nicer, even though I pretended not to notice I was doing it. He started offering me coffee before our sessions, then sitting closer, then complimenting my perfume. I should have stopped it. I didn't. One night, we were reading The Great Gatsby together. The room was quiet, just the soft hum of the AC. He put the book down, looked at me, and said, "You're different from anyone I've ever known." I laughed it off. Nervous. But inside, my stomach flipped. "I mean it," he said. "Everyone in my world is fake. But you actually see me." I told him this couldn't happen. I was his teacher. He was 19. I could lose my job. He just nodded, like he already knew. Then he stood, walked to the window, and said, "I wish I met you when I was older." The air between us was different after that. We didn't kiss that night. But we crossed a line. And once we crossed it, it was over. The next few weeks were a blur. We'd meet for lessons and end up talking about dreams, fears, regrets. Sometimes our hands would touch when I handed him papers. Once, he brushed my hair back from my face. The kind of touch that leaves a burn. I tried to keep it professional, but it was like trying to hold back a wave with my hands. Then one night, I stayed late. His parents were out. We were in the library, supposed to be working on his college essay. He told me he didn't want to write about some fake passion for economics. He wanted to write about falling in love with someone he wasn't supposed to. He didn't say my name. He didn't have to. He kissed me first. And I kissed him back. I should have stopped it. I didn't. That night changed everything. We kept it secret. Whispered conversations. Late-night texts. I snuck down the back staircase to avoid the staff. Every time I saw his father, I felt like he knew. But he never said a word. Until he did. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Sunny. Quiet. Nathaniel and I were in the library again. We weren't even doing anything, just sitting close, talking. I leaned into him. He brushed my cheek. That's when the door swung open. His father. He didn't yell. Didn't even raise his voice. Just stood there, staring. I stood up. My legs were shaking. He looked at me and said, "You leave tonight, or you'll never work again. Anywhere." That was it. No discussion. No second chance. Just that sentence. Like a knife. Nathaniel tried to speak. His dad cut him off. "You don't know what you're doing." I packed my things in silence. Told the agency I was leaving early due to family matters. I booked a red-eye flight back to Chicago. Nathaniel texted me non-stop. I didn't answer. What was I supposed to say? My heart felt like someone had punched through my chest. At the airport, I stood in line for security. My carry-on felt heavier than it should have. Not just because of the clothes. Then I heard yelling. "Sarah! Sarah!" I turned around. It was him. Running past TSA agents, dodging people. He looked like he hadn't slept. Eyes wild. "I won't lose you," he shouted. "Please, don't go." People were staring. TSA agents moved toward him. I froze. My mouth was dry. I couldn't even breathe. He reached me, out of breath. "Come with me," he said. "We can leave. We can figure it out." And then, God, I'll never forget what he did next. He pulled out a piece of paper. A plane ticket. 2 of them. To Paris. I bought them this morning. You don't have to go back. We can start over. So there I was, at JFK, standing in the security line, eyes locked with Nathaniel. He looked like he hadn't slept, clothes wrinkled, hair messy, hands shaking as he held out that damn envelope. 2 plane tickets. Paris. My name on one of them. You don't have to go back, he said. Please, Sarah. We can leave everything behind. Everything inside me was screaming. I wanted to run into his arms. I wanted to grab the ticket and sprint to the gate. But reality hit like a slap. Nathaniel, I said, my voice low, this isn't a movie. His face fell. I can't just vanish with you. You're still, God, you're 19. You're not thinking clearly. I am, he said, louder now. This is the clearest I've ever been. You're the only thing that feels real. A TSA officer was now walking toward us. Sir, you can't be here. Step away from the passenger. Nathaniel didn't move. I'm not leaving until she says yes. And that's when the second twist hit me like a brick. I felt a hand on my shoulder. Sarah. I turned. Martin Kensington. In the airport. Right behind me. How the hell did he get there so fast? He looked calm. Deadly calm. Like a man who's used to getting what he wants without raising his voice. I warned you, he said. This ends now. Nathaniel turned to face him. You followed her here? I follow what I invest in, Martin said, eyes on me. You're not worth the risk. You think this is love, Nathaniel? It's manipulation. She took advantage of you. I laughed. I actually laughed. Are you serious right now? You think I planned this? That I came here to seduce your son and ruin your family? Martin didn't blink. I don't care what your plan was. You're done. He stepped closer, dropped his voice. Do you know what I can do with a single phone call? You'll never work in education again. Not here. Not abroad. Not online. Think very carefully before you walk through that gate. Nathaniel looked at me. You said you loved me. I do, I whispered. Then come. But I couldn't move. My feet felt cemented to the floor. My heart felt like it was splitting in half. Security finally stepped in. They pulled Nathaniel aside. Martin didn't say another word. Just stared at me, cold and silent. Then he turned and walked away. I stood there, surrounded by strangers, tears running down my face, holding that damn envelope in my hand. And then another twist. That night, while I was sitting at the gate, numb and hollow, my phone buzzed. A message from a blocked number. They're freezing your accounts. I saw the papers on my dad's desk. He's going after you. You need to leave the country now. I stared at the screen. Leave the country? Was this real? I checked my bank app. Frozen. No balance. No access. Everything gone. I was in the middle of JFK with a one-way ticket to Chicago, a frozen bank account, and a warning that someone with way too much power had declared war on me. I checked the second envelope again. Paris. He really had bought them. The gate for that flight was just down the hall. I had a choice. Run. Or go home and watch my life fall apart, piece by piece. I didn't get on the plane that night. But I didn't go home either. I went somewhere else. Somewhere no one expected. That's where it all really started unraveling. So. I didn't go to Paris. And I didn't fly back to Chicago either. After getting that message from Nathaniel, about my accounts being frozen, I panicked. I had maybe $40 in cash in my wallet, and a bank app showing nothing. I hadn't done anything wrong, but this man, Martin Kensington, had the money and power to make it look like I had. And I knew I had no time. I did the only thing I could think of. I found a quiet corner in the terminal, sat down, and pulled up my friend's number, Alina. She used to live in Brooklyn, and I knew she was still somewhere in the city. She answered on the third ring. Alina, I need help. I'm still in New York. Something bad's happening. She didn't ask questions. She just sent me an address and told me to get in a cab. I used the last bit of my cash to pay a driver and disappeared into the Brooklyn night. That's when I learned something new. Martin Kensington wasn't just threatening to ruin my life. He had already started. The next morning, I woke up on Alina's couch to 47 missed calls. From unknown numbers. Then my agency called. Not to check if I was okay. No. They were terminating my contract, citing inappropriate behavior and a violation of client trust. I tried to explain. They didn't listen. I'd been blacklisted. Not just by them. Word spreads fast in the private education world. I checked LinkedIn. My profile was flooded with messages from people I'd worked with. Some asking what happened. Some accusing. A few kind ones. But most? Gone cold. My reputation was gone in 24 hours. Then I got an email. Subject line, Notice of Investigation. It was from a law firm. One I later found out was directly tied to the Kensington family. They were reviewing the situation for potential civil action related to misconduct. The wording was vague, but the threat was real. They wanted to scare me. It was working. I couldn't access my money. My job was gone. And now I was facing legal action? But here's where things really twisted. Alina, God bless her, called in a favor from an old roommate of hers who now worked in cybersecurity. He did some digging on my behalf. And what he found? Shocked all of us. Martin Kensington had paid someone to access my emails. My personal emails. There were traces of unauthorized logins from an IP address located in the Kensington's own townhouse. They were trying to build a case against me. Forge messages. Create a paper trail that made it look like I had seduced Nathaniel. That I had manipulated him. Used my role to groom him. All lies. But they were building it. I broke down. Completely. Cried until I couldn't breathe. Because if they succeeded, I wasn't just losing a job. I could lose everything. My reputation. My chance to ever teach again. Hell, I could go to jail if they spun it the right way. And Nathaniel? He'd gone dark. No texts. No calls. Nothing. I didn't know if they'd taken his phone. Sent him away. Threatened him. I just knew I was alone. Or so I thought. 3 nights later, there was a knock at Alina's door. I froze. She peeked through the peephole and whispered, "It's him." "Nathaniel?" She nodded. I opened the door. And there he was. Different. Hair cut short. Hoodie pulled low. Backpack slung over one shoulder. And this haunted look in his eyes. "I ran," he said. He stepped inside. They were going to send me to Zurich. Boarding school. For recovery. That's what they called it. Like I was an addict. They took my phone, my laptop, everything. I asked how he found me. He grinned, just a little. "Your friend's Instagram. She posted a photo of her street last week." I recognized the bodega. He always had a good memory. He stayed with us that night. Slept on the floor. We barely talked, just sat in silence. It felt like a war zone, and we were just trying to breathe. But in the morning, he told me everything. His father had given him an ultimatum: sign a written statement that I manipulated him, or be cut off completely. No inheritance. No trust fund. No college money. He hadn't signed it. Yet. But now he was scared. Not just for himself, but for me. "They'll ruin you," he said. "My dad doesn't lose." I looked at him. "Then we give him something to lose." This is where the story takes another turn. Nathaniel had proof. He'd recorded conversations between him and his father. On a hidden app. Stuff that made it very clear his dad was trying to build a fake case against me. That the relationship was mutual. That no laws were broken. That he was the one who kept pushing. We made copies. Gave them to Alina's friend, the cyber guy. We uploaded them to an encrypted drive. Insurance. It felt like we had power again. And then? Then Nathaniel disappeared. I woke up the next morning to find his backpack still by the couch, but he was gone. No note. No message. Just vanished. At first, I thought maybe he'd gone out for coffee or something stupid like that. But hours passed. Then a full day. Nothing. And then, another blocked number text. "They have him. He didn't make it far." I read that text 20 times. And that's when I realized, this isn't over. This is war. And I'm not backing down. Not this time. After that text, "They have him. He didn't make it far." I felt this deep pit open in my chest. Alina tried to calm me. Maybe it's just a scare tactic. Maybe he left on his own. But I knew. I felt it. They had him. I didn't sleep. I couldn't eat. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was at the center of something much bigger than me. Bigger than love. Bigger than truth. It wasn't just about me and Nathaniel anymore, it was about power. Control. Manipulation. And it was about to explode. 3 days later, I got an email. No name. No subject line. Just a location, the Met. Egyptian wing. 4 p.m. I hesitated. Alina begged me not to go. But I had to. I walked through those echoing halls like I was stepping into a dream. I found him in front of the Temple of Dender, sitting on the stone ledge beneath the soft museum lighting. Nathaniel. He looked exhausted. Pale. But when he saw me, he smiled. They let me go, he said quietly. Or maybe I just wore them down. I didn't speak. He pulled something from his coat. A flash drive. Everything's on here. The recordings. Screenshots. Dates. Times. It's enough to take my father down. I shook my head. Why did you come back? He looked at me, eyes raw. Because I love you. And then another voice cut through the air, touch her again, and you'll regret it. I turned. Martin Kensington. Right there, in the middle of the Met, flanked by two suited men. Nathaniel, he barked, this is your final warning. The whole museum went quiet. People were watching. Phones came out. Do it, Nathaniel said. Expose everything. Right here. Right now. Martin stepped forward. You think this will end me? No, Nathaniel said. But it'll end you. The man you pretend to be. The philanthropist. The mentor. The clean, respectable face of the Kensington name. Martin laughed, this cold, low sound that made my stomach turn. You think people care? Everyone's corrupt. That's how the world works. I stepped in. No. That's how you work. His eyes landed on me. You're nothing. A failed teacher. A mistake. That word. Mistake. Something in me snapped. I pulled out my phone. I'd hit record the second I saw him. Say that again, I said. Say I'm nothing. He moved fast. Reached for my phone, but security from the museum swarmed in. The suited men backed off. Martin didn't. Don't think this is over, he growled, just inches from me. You have no idea who you're messing with. And then Nathaniel did something no one expected. He stepped forward and shouted, this man emotionally abused me for years. He threatened my girlfriend. He hacked her accounts. And he's still trying to control my life. The museum was silent. Cameras were still rolling. And Martin? He walked away. He didn't say a word. Just turned his back, like we weren't worth the trouble anymore. That video went viral. Not overnight, but it spread fast. People didn't care about the love story as much as they cared about the money. The power. The corruption. Journalists picked it up. Former employees came forward. The Kensington name was suddenly radioactive. And me? I was pulled into it, of course. Interviews. Rumors. Judgments. Half the internet thought I was a homewrecker. The other half thought I was a hero. None of them knew the truth. Nathaniel and I tried to stay together. We really did. But the weight of it all, it was too much. He was dealing with therapy. Legal battles. Rebuilding a life that had always been built for him, not by him. And me? I was tired. One night, I sat across from him in a tiny apartment in Queens, and I said it out loud, I love you, Nathaniel. But I think this broke us. He didn't fight it. He just nodded. I know. There were no screaming matches. No slamming doors. Just two people who had been torn apart and patched back together in the wrong shapes. I moved back to Chicago 6 months later. I teach again now, different setting, different role. Lower pay, but more peace. I keep a low profile. Sometimes people ask if I still talk to the rich kid from New York. Sometimes I lie. Sometimes I say, no, but he taught me something. Because he did. He taught me that love isn't always enough, but truth is. He taught me that walking away isn't weakness, it's survival. And that no matter how powerful someone is, when the truth finally shows up, it cuts deeper than any threat. I don't know if I'll ever fall in love like that again. Part of me hopes I don't. But another part? Still wonders what would have happened if I'd just taken that flight to Paris. Maybe in another life. But in this one? I survived.